The room fell into chaos as code lines collapsed, and while executives shouted, a janitor's kid quietly raised their hand and changed everything. If you're ready to hear the whole story, click subscribe and let me know in the comments where you're watching from, because tomorrow, I will be giving you another story just as crazy as this one. And you don't want to miss it. Now let's get into it. The conference room was glass-walled, cold, and humming with tension. Leah Chandler stood at the head of the table, arms crossed, blazer sharp as her jawline. She stared at the 10 high-ranking executives seated before her, silent, waiting. Behind her, a massive screen displayed a countdown clock. 1 hour, 12 minutes, 33 seconds. The launch. The company's most ambitious product, Neuralink, a cutting-edge AI interface designed to integrate real-time cognitive learning into virtual systems. Investors were watching from across the globe. Tech press was circling like hawks. "Let me be clear," Leah said, pacing. "We've built more than software. We've built trust. That trust dies if this launch crashes. So double-check everything. I want 0 errors. I want airtight control." Her voice echoed. Nobody breathed. Leah had built her reputation on perfection. Calculated. Emotionless. Her father had been a corporate legend. She'd only become so by being more exacting, more ruthless, more prepared. And under no circumstances did she tolerate failure. Downstairs, far from glass walls and tailored suits, Luis Rivera mopped the tiled hallway outside the server room. His uniform was faded, one sleeve torn. His earbuds played a soft classical melody, Mozart maybe, something his daughter always left queued up. His hands moved with rhythm. Not slow, not rushed. Just practiced. He was invisible here. Always had been. But he didn't mind much. Because just a few feet away, his daughter Nia sat on the hallway floor, back against the vending machine, eyes fixed on her tablet. At 13, Nia was quiet, thoughtful. She didn't talk much, but her mind moved fast. She taught herself to code at 10. Built her own math game at 11. At 12, she was repairing used laptops her dad salvaged from the company's discard pile. He called her his secret weapon. She looked up at him now. They updated the firewall again. "It's slow." Luis chuckled. "Don't tell them that." She smirked. "They'll find out eventually." Back upstairs, the system check completed. A junior tech analyst entered the room, pale and shaking. We just detected a security loop on port 9A. The data interface is stalling." Leah didn't flinch. "How long to fix it? 15 minutes, maybe?" Leah narrowed her eyes. "That's a soft maybe." The analyst nodded. "Ma'am, it's a recursive feedback. It's learning from itself." "That's impossible," she snapped. "But it's happening." Back on the lower floor, Luis packed up his cleaning supplies. "Come on, Nia," he said. "Let's head out before it gets crazy up there." She didn't move. Her eyes were fixed on her screen. "Dad, something's wrong with their update," she whispered. "I think it's a loop issue in the sandbox deployment." Luis blinked. "In English." She turned the tablet around, showed him the code. "I saw it when I piggybacked off their Wi-Fi. The server's reprocessing its own triggers. It's gonna freeze up." He shook his head, alarmed. "You can't just monitor their systems like that." She stood, tucking her tablet under her arm. "If I don't say anything, they'll crash." Luis hesitated. "Nia." But she was already walking, toward the elevator. Toward the floor where no one knew her name. The screen flickered. Then blinked. Then went black. Silence. In the conference room full of executives and tension, all eyes snapped toward the massive launch monitor. The countdown froze mid-second. 1 hour and 27 seconds. "No signal," someone whispered. An engineer scrambled toward the control tablet, fingers flying. Leah's voice sliced through the room. "Is this a server-side issue?" He nodded. "Looks like an AI loop locked the interface. It's recursive. Every time we send a command, the system mirrors it back." She stepped forward, calm on the outside. "Then shut it down and reboot." "We can't." The words hit harder than a scream. Just then the elevator chimed. Nia stepped out. No one noticed her at first. Just a girl with a tablet, wearing a hoodie 2 sizes too big, braids tucked behind her ears. She scanned the room. The flickering lights. The panicked texts. The frozen screen. And then she saw her father, standing just outside the glass door, looking like he wished the floor would swallow him whole. One of the board members growled, "What the hell is going on?" The lead engineer whispered, "If we can't fix this in the next 10 minutes, the entire AI foundation will corrupt." Another voice, "That's $40 million in investment vaporized." Leah's jaw tensed. Her voice came out colder than ever. "Everybody out. Except you," she pointed to the lead tech. "And you, get the IT director on a video call. Now." But before they could move, a voice cut through the room. Confident. "You're indexing the loops without isolating the backflow." Heads turned. All of them. To her. Leah blinked. "Who are you?" Nia took a single step forward. "My name's Nia. And your AI is looping because it's stuck in a reactive simulation with no boundary condition. If you tell it to stop, it thinks you mean continue, because your commands mimic its own." Leah stared, stunned. "Who let her in here?" someone barked. Luis opened the door quietly. "She's my daughter." A long pause. Then laughter. From the investor in the corner. "Oh great. The janitor's kid is gonna fix our multi-million-dollar launch." Leah raised a hand. The laughter stopped. Her eyes stayed locked on Nia. "What's your background?" "I don't have one. Not officially. But I've been reverse engineering your old Neurolight framework for fun." "For fun?" Nia nodded. "Your latest patch mirrors predictive language loops but doesn't account for recursive shadows in closed systems. You didn't sandbox your sandbox." The lead engineer blinked. "She's not wrong." Leah's mind raced. What was happening? This girl couldn't be more than 13. She had no clearance. No credentials. And yet, she was speaking in exact terms. Terms even her own team had danced around. "You said you can fix it?" Leah asked quietly. Nia didn't flinch. "I can try." Luis stepped forward, hesitant. "You don't have to, baby." Nia shook her head. "I want to." The room went still. Leah stepped aside. "Show me." Nia sat at the workstation beside the lead engineer. She didn't fidget. She didn't panic. Her fingers moved over the keyboard with a kind of quiet certainty, opening windows, scanning lines of code like she was flipping through a favorite book. Luis stood just outside the door watching, half proud, half terrified. Across the room, Leah folded her arms. Her gaze never left Nia, but her mind was moving faster than the AI loop ever had. A janitor's kid. No credentials. No clearance. And so, the engineer beside her leaned in. "She's already found the recursive entry point. That alone would have taken us an hour." Leah didn't answer. Not out loud. Inside, something twisted, not anger, not awe, something else. Loss of control. She didn't like it. "Ma'am," Nia said, looking up briefly. "The AI thinks it's being tested, not deployed. You didn't clear the beta simulation cache before layering in the live model." The room went silent again. She added, "I can isolate it, but I'll need full override permissions." Leah stiffened. "That's not possible." "You can run the patch manually," the engineer offered. "She's not on staff. She's not covered. If anything happens..." Luis stepped in. "Don't worry. If it fails, you can fire me." His voice cracked when he said it. Leah looked at him. Really looked at him. This man had swept her floors for 3 years. She hadn't spoken 5 words to him in that time. And now, for the first time, he was standing between her and failure. Not to blame her, but to offer something. Something that didn't fit in a quarterly report. She turned back to Nia. "If I give you this access, you cannot make a mistake." Nia nodded once. "I understand." Leah paused, then typed the override key. As Nia worked, someone whispered in the back, "She's a liability." Leah heard it, but didn't respond. Not yet. Minutes passed. Nia's fingers danced through a cascade of protocols. Suddenly she paused. A single blinking line stared back at her. Her expression changed. Then confusion. She bit her lip. Something's off, she muttered. The engineer leaned over. What is it? The system's learning too fast. It's anticipating me now. Leah stepped closer. Then stop. I can't. If I abort now, it could corrupt the entire sequence. Louise started toward her. Maybe you should take a break. But Nia held up a hand. No. I can do this. Behind her, the whispers started again. She's going to crash it. She's a kid, for God's sake. This is reckless. Where's the CTO? Why are we trusting her? Leah's silence stretched. She hadn't decided yet whether she was being brave or foolish. At the terminal, Nia looked up. Her eyes found Leah's. For the first time, the CEO saw something unspoken there. Not arrogance. Not rebellion. Not even defiance. The kind that said, let me be enough. Just once. Leah turned toward the room. If anyone wants to leave, you're free to go. Nobody moved. But if she pulls this off, she'll be the only person in this building who actually earned their way in today. The room had emptied. After Nia stabilized the recursive loop, the system settled into a soft hum. Still not perfect, but breathing. Leah had ordered everyone else out. Just the core team remained her. The engineer. And Nia. Louise sat outside again, clutching a half-crushed water bottle like a lifeline. Nia stood now, arms crossed, gaze fixed on the code scrolling in front of her. Leah stood behind her, watching, but not with the cold detachment from before. Something had shifted. Where did you learn this? She asked, voice quieter than usual. Nia shrugged. I read manuals. Watched tutorials. Broke a few things. Fixed them. Broke them again. Any formal classes? No. Still in school? Nia nodded. Middle or high? 8th grade. Leah blinked. You're 12. 13. Last month. The pause. Then, genuine. Happy birthday. Nia smiled for the first time. A little. The engineer stepped out to take a call, leaving just the two of them. The silence stretched, but didn't feel heavy. Leah leaned against the desk. You're not nervous. I was. Then I realized, if I messed up, you'd never let me touch a keyboard again. Leah gave a soft, unexpected chuckle. You're not wrong. At the window, Luis watched. He had cleaned every floor of this building. Watched executives rise and fall. Listened to powerful men argue behind doors they didn't know he could hear through. But he had never seen his daughter in that room. And now she was the center of it. Inside, Nia scanned through a final set of logs. Looks like the AI loop is rerouted. I set a new sandbox with a failsafe override. Leah stepped closer. You wrote that? Nia nodded. Leah opened her mouth. Closed it. Then said, you don't belong here. Nia's face dropped. Until Leah added, but not because you're not smart enough. You're just bigger than this. Louise saw her eyes when she said it. They weren't sharp or hard. They were tired. Like someone remembering what hope used to feel like. Leah sat down, finally. You know, when I was your age, I built a basic interface for my school's library system. It crashed the printers for 3 days. Nia laughed. I once rewired our toaster to stream music. The bread caught fire. They both smiled. The kind of smile that comes when two very different people finally stop pretending they're so different. The engineer returned. We're good to go. Countdown reactivated. 32 minutes. Leah stood. But she didn't walk away yet. She looked at Nia. You want to watch it launch from the control floor? Nia hesitated. Looked at her dad. Leah turned to him. Mr. Rivera, would you join us too? Luis blinked, stunned. Yes, ma'am. No need for ma'am. He nodded again, slower this time. Then, thank you, Leah. The control floor buzzed softly as the launch clock ticked down. 8 minutes and 57 seconds. Nia sat at the secondary terminal, monitoring the AI response speeds. Luis stood close, his arms crossed tight, not out of protection, but to hold his heart steady. Leah stood at center command, calm but alert. Her hands didn't shake, but her eyes didn't blink. Everything looked perfect. Until it wasn't. Wait, Nia's voice rose. There's a lag. Everyone turned. What kind of lag? Leah asked sharply. The AI's adjusting input too quickly. It's rewriting parameters I didn't authorize. The engineer beside her leaned in, concerned. It's evolving. Fast. Luis asked quietly, what does that mean? Nia's fingers flew across the keys. It's not stabilizing. It's learning faster than the failsafe can adapt. A warning alarm blinked. Steady, but critical logic conflict detected. The engineer swore. If we hit launch with that in place, the system could misfire the entire product interface. Leah snapped, why didn't you catch this? Nia's breath caught. I thought I did. I rerouted everything. Eject. You thought? Leah's voice cracked. We trusted a child with a $40 million launch and now. Luis stepped forward. Stop. Don't do that. Leah turned on him. Do what? Blame her when it was your risk, your system, your ego. Silence fell. Nia stood slowly. Her voice was smaller than it had ever been. I'm sorry. She backed away from the desk. I shouldn't have come in. Luis reached for her shoulder. She pulled away. I thought I could help. I really thought. She stopped mid-sentence. Swallowed. Then turned and walked out. The room stayed still. Leah watched her leave but didn't move. Outside in the hallway, Nia leaned against the wall, staring down at her sneakers, a mismatched pair she'd glued back together herself. The hallway was quiet now. All she could hear was her own heartbeat and the echo of her mistake. Luis came out a minute later. He didn't speak. He just sat beside her on the floor. After a long silence, she whispered, she was right. I'm just a kid. I broke it. Luis didn't argue. He said, do you know how many things I've broken, Nia? She looked at him. I once knocked over a coffee cart into a CFO's lap during a quarterly meeting. You know what I did after? She shook her head. I cleaned it up. I said sorry. And I showed up again the next day. Back inside, Leah stared at the flashing screen. The system was still functional. But the conflict error remained. The engineer shook his head. Without her fix, we'll lose control again in 5 minutes. Leah took a breath. The longest breath she'd taken in a year. Then she stepped away from the desk. Where's the kid? Nia sat beside the elevator, chin tucked into her knees. She hadn't cried. But her voice had disappeared somewhere in her chest. Luis stayed with her. Not saying much. Just being there. I messed it up, she finally whispered. No, he said softly, you showed them what the system was really doing. They just didn't want to believe you were right. That's not the same as fixing it. Luis looked at her, eyes full of quiet love. Fixing isn't always about being perfect. Sometimes it's about showing up again. The elevator doors opened. Leah stepped out. She didn't look like a CEO now. She looked tired, like someone who'd just met a version of herself she didn't know how to deal with. She approached slowly, giving Nia space. For a second, none of them spoke. Then softly, we can't finish this without you. Nia looked up, eyes wide. But I know. You made a call. You missed something. So have I. So has every person in that room. The pause. Leah crouched to eye level. You don't get to disappear just because it got hard. Nia hesitated. You still trust me? Leah gave a half smile. I don't just trust you. I need you. Luis looked between them, and for the first time since Nia stepped into that elevator, he saw her spine straighten. She stood and walked back. Inside the control room, the countdown blinked. 2 minutes and 44 seconds. Nia slid into the chair. Everyone turned as she returned. No one laughed. No one doubted. They watched. This time with respect. She tapped into the override she'd written earlier, the one she had abandoned when panic clouded her focus. Leah stood behind her, not over her. What are you doing? She asked. Nia spoke without fear this time. Letting the AI teach itself, but within a mirror sandbox I created just now. If it loops again, it'll only loop inside the sandbox? Exactly. It can learn all it wants, but it can't hurt anything. Luis stood in the corner, fists in his pockets, heart pounding. One line of code appeared on the screen. Then another. Then the red warning light disappeared. Leah let out a long, quiet breath. The engineer whispered, "She did it?" Nia didn't smile right away. But her fingers stopped shaking. She leaned back in her chair, finally letting her weight settle. She had walked away. But more importantly, she came back. The countdown reached 0. And for the first time in 3 hours, the room didn't erupt in chaos. Just a soft collective breath as the system launched, smooth, seamless, stable. Neuralink pulsed to life. Green lights blinked. The demo ran perfectly. The investors on the video wall began clapping, stunned and smiling. But Leah didn't look at them. She looked at Nia. Luis stood by the door, eyes full of disbelief and something deeper, pride that hurt in the best way. He'd watched his daughter code by flashlight, fix broken screens with tape and wire, teach herself logic on an old second-hand laptop. Now, she just saved a launch that a full team of engineers couldn't. Not because she was lucky, but because she was brilliant. Leah turned to the team. "Everyone take 5, she said. "I need a word." They cleared out fast, partly from exhaustion, partly because they knew something big had just happened. Only Leah, Nia, and Luis remained. Leah turned toward them both. "I wasn't kind earlier," she said plainly. "I judged you. And I doubted her." Luis nodded slowly. "You weren't wrong to be scared. But don't forget who showed up when it mattered." Leah glanced at Nia, then bent slightly and said, "I'd like to offer you something." Nia looked confused. "What?" Leah smiled gently. "A mentorship. With me. One-on-one. As long as you want it. We'll set you up with equipment. With time. With teachers if you want them. But mostly with space to build." Nia blinked. "Really?" Luis stepped in, hand on his daughter's shoulder. "You don't owe her anything." "I know," Leah said. "That's why this offer means something." Nia looked between them, then nodded. "I'd like that." Leah smiled. Wide, real, nothing like the smile from the boardroom days. Later that evening, the sun poured orange across the windows. The building had emptied. Luis cleaned the floors like he always did, mop steady, music in one ear. But this time, he wasn't alone. Nia walked beside him, holding a tablet in one hand, sketching code with the other. As they passed the main conference room, Leah was still inside, now on a solo call with the board. She caught a glimpse of them, father and daughter. She watched the mop, the tablet, and she smiled. A real one. Before they turned the corner, Nia stopped. "Dad." "Yeah. I was scared today." "I know. I wanted to quit. I would have let you." She looked up. "But I'm glad I didn't." Luis nodded. "Me too." The next morning in the lobby, a new sign was posted by the elevator. "Genius can come from anywhere. Even a janitor's kid." So Leah Chandler. She didn't wear a badge. She didn't have a degree. But she had the one thing the system never accounted for, a voice that refused to stay silent. Would you trust someone who didn't look the part, if everything was on the line? Share your thoughts below. Thank you for watching this story to the end. If you enjoyed this story, you will surely love the next one. It's as crazier and more intriguing as you can ever imagine. So do check it out. Click on the image showing on your screen right now to watch the next one.